welcome to this Top 10s episode of the 90s.
Yes, the 90s.
Welcome to this Top 10s episode of horror movies from the 90s. My name is Chris.
And I'm William.
Now, the 90s brought many new things to the world, such as gangster rap, gangster hip-hop, Eminem, all that stuff. But it also went away from the slasher films of the 80s and brought us into new movies, such as gangster horror movies, such as Tales from the Hood, and also brought us into more mythological, like Wishmaster or Leprechaun. So we've compiled a list of the 10 best movies of the 90s. Number 10 was The Dark. Now, The Dark was about a graveyard, and under the graveyard lived a huge monster. It was kind of like a werewolf, but it looked more like a giant rat. And what it was is these people get trapped in there, and it comes under the ground. It's kind of like the movie Tremors, except it's a big rat monster. And it's kind of like a werewolf that comes up and grabs you and eats your ass.
Hang on a second. Let me put this, how huge was this rat?
Fucking huge. Probably taller than you and me. And I'd say Bigfoot size. It's pretty damn big.
That's a huge rat. Holy
That's
shit.
a big fucking rat. Anyway, number 9 is the dentist. Now, every one of us has been to the dentist and had to face the same problem. You're kind of scared first time there. Oh, he's going to drill open my mouth and kill me. Well, in the movie The Dentist, he does. It's a damn horror movie, so obviously someone's going to die. Well, the dentist ends up finding out that his wife cheats on him with the pool man, so he kind of goes loopy, which he's already going loopy, because to him everyone was dirty. So, he ends up killing some of his patients, and he gets them high on medicine, fucks up their teeth, pulls them out, does everything you won't want your dentist to do. So if you're scared of the dentist, don't watch this movie. Number 8 was Scream. Wes Craven, the director of Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, and conveniently The People Under the Stairs, did Scream. Scream brought the slasher films into the 90s. It put them up to this height again. Once again, slasher films were on top of the fucking world because of Wes Craven with the movie Scream. And what it is two high school students dress up as killers and start killing their friends off. And what they do is it's like a parody to all the 80s and early 70s and later 70s slasher films. It's not a bad movie, but I don't think it's the best film of the 90s. It's pretty good, though.
Pretty decent.
It's good, but it's not the best of the 90s.
Nah.
And number 7 is Leprechaun. Yeah, we know what you're thinking. It's stupid. Well, it is stupid. But, to be honest, it was funny as hell. Remember the leprechaun on the pogo stick?
How could we?
This little lep, he played toe, he played tic-tac on your lung. Bounce, bounce. Bam, killed the shop owner. Remember the part where he was in the car and he's like, me, and the fucking cop pulled him over. Aren't you a little young to be driving? I'm 600 years old. Goddamn leprechaun. Well, anyway, this was the first movie starring Shit. I don't remember who it starred. Help me out here. Help me out here. Say something. Anything.
Our host, Chris here, is having a little difficulties, so I'll recover his little problem. So, the best thing about the movie is just the fact that the killer...
Jennifer Aniston. Her name was Jennifer Aniston. That was the first movie because she was a teenager in it. Yeah, remember Jennifer Aniston? And remember the kid who played Ozzy had the paintbrush?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was Jennifer Aniston. I'm sorry, I kind of freaked out a little bit. But I just really had to remember her name. I don't know why. Alright. Now that's over with. Number 6 is It.
Best thing about this movie, hey, he's a clown. What do you expect?
A clown. Okay. There were movies before it, like in the 80s, Fun House and all that, movies. Well, It was based off a Stephen King novel, It. But it was also, not just a clown, but it was your every fear. Like for one boy, it was a werewolf. For the other one, it was in the shower with them. It was blood in the sink. It could be anything. It was your worst nightmare. Well, it turns out the children who are afraid of him end up killing him. But then he comes back, like 20 years later? 30? And they have to re-kill him as adults. So, what are you going to do? Number 5 is Wishmaster. Wishmaster goes into the realm of psychological because, he's kind of like a genie. Which, this is another film by Wes Craven. It seems that Wes Craven just, went up during the 90s. Like, he just got way better. Wishmaster the special effects were awesome. And the gore was great. Like, when the skeleton pops out of the guy. And, I don't know, in part 2, when the dude gets pulled through the cell wall and he, turns into goop. Just everything about those movies are good. But if you want to watch Wishmaster, stay away from 3 and 4. They suck. Number 4.
Puppet Master.
Now, Puppet Master was done by Full Moon Productions. And during the 90s, they were a big company. They also did Demonic Toys, Puppet Master, they did Doll Man. Most are good stuff in the 90s. Now, if you watch a Full Moon movie, most of them are pretty shitty. Evil Bong was good. Junior Dead Man was Decadent Evil was atrocious. But their best movie is, and always will be, Puppet Master. And at the beginning of Puppet Master, the Puppet Master, the guy who creates the puppet, shoots himself. And then he hides the puppets in the wall. Well, he hides the puppets in the wall before he shoots himself. But then a guy finds him years later, and he invites all his colleagues to the mansion, the hotel, where he lived, but he was also dead. So he has all his colleagues, they all have supernatural abilities, they can, sense violence, tell what you're thinking, I don't know, just random stuff. Well, the puppets end up killing his colleagues because, he comes back to life through Toulon's, ingredients for life. And they end up killing the colleagues. And then towards the end of the movie, when he starts, beating up on the puppets, the puppets are like, no. They fuck him up. Number 3 is Candyman. This one's yours.
I dare you to look in the mirror and say Candyman 3 times. I dare you.
That's 5 times.
What?
5.
Okay, 5 times.
5 times, not 3. Anyway, as we were saying, Candyman was done by Clive Barker, who also, which will be on our 80s list, made Hellraiser, one of the best horror films of all time. Candyman is based off the mythological story of Candyman. It's about a slave who falls in love with a white girl. Then her dad has him killed, cuts off his hand, and be stinging to death. Well, then a girl starts studying on the legend of the Candyman. Well, it turns out that it's not just a myth. He's there. Like he said in the movie, he's the writing on the wall. He's the whisperer in the classroom. It's fucking Candyman.
What we have for number 2 is People Under the Stairs.
People Under the Stairs is yet another film by Wes Craven. Yes, we know we said his name quite a few times, but it's true. he had some damn good films in the 90s.
He must be very popular during the 90s.
Yeah, he pretty much was. He had some great films in the 90s. Wasn't too bad in the 80s either. You know, he did Nightmare on Elm Street and Shocker. He was good 70s too, you know. He did Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left. He's a damn good director.
Oh, yeah.
Well, People Under Stairs is about a boy named Fool. And him and Leroy, which is his sister's boyfriend, break into these people's house, which are the landlords. Well, it turns out the landlords are really crazy. And you hear that banging? Oh, sorry. Landlords are really crazy. And it turns out that they have these gold coins, and that's why they break in, steal these gold coins. Well, it turns out they're not a couple, and they don't have a daughter. They're brother and sister, and they steal these babies, and they grow them up to children, and what they do is, if they do anything bad, they cut that part off of them. Their main rule was, speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil. So, if, if they backtalked them, they cut out their tongues, they cut off your ears, they cut out your eyes. These are fucked up parents, man. I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to have them as parents, man.
And neither would I.
Fucked up motherfuckers. Well, anyway, later they get what they deserve. You know, Fool fucks them up pretty bad. You know, he busts them up. I can't really give away anything. The movie's way too good to actually go in depth to. But let me tell you, if you get your hands on it, watch it. Fucking awesome.
This is definitely a must-see movie.
Yep, must see from the 90s. Possibly Wes Craven's best. And number one
is
Tales from the Hood. We picked Tales from the Hood as number one because not only does it support what we said in the beginning about the whole gangster rap stuff, but it's just damn good.
Oh, yeah.
Like the movie Creepshow from the 80s that had different stories, this one's like this. The first story is about a politician, black politician, who white cops who sell drugs, they beat him to death, and they drug him up, and then they push his car into the river. Well, after they do that, he uses, I guess, his voice from beyond the grave type shit to bring the black ex-cop to his grave and bring those white cops to his grave. And then one of the guys piss on him, on his grave. And then he reaches up to grab and grabs his nuts and pulls them underground. That was awesome. The other two, he rips off one of their heads. Then the last one, great. I'm not going to give away that kill, but it's awesome. The second story was about a boy, and his uncle was a monster. But he wasn't really a monster. What the boy imagined, he was a monster. Because his uncle would beat him, and bruise him, and beat up his mom. You know, pretty bad, remember?
Yeah.
So what the boy did was he drew pictures of the people he didn't like, and in order to destroy him, you know, he'd crumble up, he'd rip it in half. Well, turns out towards the end, the teacher, after he had enough of the boy getting bruised all that, goes to their house to want to know why he's getting bruised. Well, towards the end of that story, the fucking uncle beats the mom and the boy pretty damn bad, and he beats up the teacher pretty bad. And then the boy, at the last minute, like, takes the paper and breaks a leg, and then breaks the other leg, and, like, rips it up, crumbles it, and burns it. And the stepfather, you know, gets ripped up, burned, and crumbles. It turns out he really was a monster. That's creativity right there.
Yeah.
The third story is about little dolls. Dolls. Yes. Little black dolls about yay high. Now, man, it turns out that a former member of the KKK is now a member of the government, and people are voting for him. Well, it turns out a black man also worked for him, trying to get him elected. Well, the dolls, they're not just dolls. They come out of a painting. They're under the house, but like they also come out of a painting. I don't know how it works, but it's pretty badass. Well, anyway, there's one doll, and it pretty much messes with the white guy all the way through the movie. But then towards the end, more comes out, and I'm not going to tell you any more about that story because you have to watch it, but it's pretty good. The last story is about a man. It's gangster. I mean, last story is about black gangsters. That's what it is. Nothing to really tell you about that one other than they use psychological testing on him, and it probably has one of the funniest lines in the movie, and he is doing this. Oh, good fuck! Oh, good fuck! I don't know why, but that is really funny. Well, this concludes this episode of Top 10 Best Horror Movies of the 90s. Soon we will be releasing the holiday episode, so join us. Turn it off. We will see you later. So, here's a list that we compiled of the 10 best horror movies of the 90s. Number 10 was The Dark.
Number 9 was The Dentist. Yeah.
Number 8, Scream.
Number 7 was Hot Fire.
Number 6 was It.
Number 5 was Wishmaster.
Number 4 was Puppet Master.
3, Candyman.
Number 2 was The Evil Undertaker.
And number 1,
Number 1,
Tales from the
The Crew. Welcome to the top 10 episode of... What the fuck? Sorry, delete it.
I don't believe this.
I forgot to say 4.